I am joined today by Emma. Hello, Emma.
Hello.
Now, there's a few things we need to unpack about why we're having this conversation at all. Let's
Okay.
just go to perhaps one of the most well-known ones in The Chosen, which you can see just over my shoulder on the magazine, because you work for KOVA. KOVA are involved with The Chosen. So let's just start there because it's a thing that most people have talked about.
Yeah.
Why are we talking to you about The Chosen? How is it you're involved with that?
So my involvement, so I work for KOVA International and we are a PR and distribution film company, but we are the only company in the UK that is really focused on and targeting faith-based films and bringing in faith-based content. We do mainstream as well, and we can get into that a little later. But how I came to be with KOVA was totally by divine intervention, which was great. But I'd always wanted into the film industry, and I've worked for many different places between charities and community organizations, some government. So I've had lots of different jobs. And for, I would say, probably easily the last 10, 12 years, I have tried to get into the film industry, and every door that I tried was always kind of a secular door as such. And every door just kept getting shut. And I always just took that as, right, God is just closing this door. You're not going to get in. And this is how it is. Then during lockdown, I saw an episode of The Chosen, fell in love with it instantly. And I literally just had a little kind of stalk around on Instagram and LinkedIn. And I do say to people that, you know what, my testimony of this always kind of starts with don't let anybody tell you stalking doesn't pay off. It does eventually. Okay. Um, but not in a legal sense. But no, so I just found one of the girls who worked for The Chosen in the States at the time and literally just got in touch. Wasn't necessarily asking for a job, had no expectation of a job. Um, but just got in touch with her and said, listen, I love this show. It's like nothing I've ever seen before whenever it comes to depictions of Jesus and depictions on film of the Bible stories. And I just want to know what I can do to help promote this in the UK and Ireland for you because I love it and I've really fallen in love with it. So at that point, I was just telling lots of friends, lots of family, just sharing it with as many people as I could. And we kept in touch for about a year, and then it was the following year. We She had contacted me again just to say that they had finally secured their UK PR partner, which was KOVA. And she got me a meeting with Judy, who runs the company. And at that point, I think it was episodes 1 and 2 of season 3 were just about to come out. And Judy and I had had a conversation, and I was just continuing to do my own promotion, just like sharing on Instagram, just doing the usual, just getting it as widespread as you could. And it had done so well in the cinema in Northern Ireland that Judy then contacted me and said, can you please come and work with me? And at that point, I had a full-time job, was still in a full-time job. So we worked it out that I was able to do freelance, and just kind of like worked it out and worked it around my other job. And then about 6 months later, not long after we released Jesus Revolution, I got a full-time job offer and the door just flew wide open. And even in terms of getting into the film industry, being a Christian, I was obviously, of course, always going to be taking God with me on my journey. However, to see that God had so much greater planned, to enable me to do this where we are promoting faith-based films, has just been an absolute joy and an absolute blessing and something I never expected at all. So yeah, that's my journey of how I am where I
Oh,
am.
I want to come back to chosen you specifically because that's probably later in this chat. But you're talking about faith. I mean, a Christian. Where does faith fit in your life, and where did it become something that was meaningful that you then can say, do you know what? Wherever I'm going, of course, God's coming with me.
Yeah.
How did that journey begin?
So I have grown up in a Christian home, and I've always known God. I've always had a relationship with God, but then whenever I was at the age of 13, I had to take ownership of my relationship with God for myself. So I became a Christian at 13, and yeah, it has had its normal ups and downs and lots of big questions, lots of high moments and lots of low moments too. But yeah, I've very, very blessed. I'm very, very fortunate that I've always known who God is, and God has never not been important in my life. So yeah.
And that then ties into who you are and what you're doing now. Let's just go back to KOVA for a little bit, because it's something that, I'll be honest, I sort of, I suppose I know about the fact there must be somebody somewhere that takes a film and says, hey, cinemas, look what we got here. I
Yeah.
kind of knew that was there. And I
Yeah.
knew that, I don't know, what is it, a PR firm? Is it a what? I don't know. I mean, how does KOVA function? How does the Chosen come to them and say, we want to push this film, and then you go to, I don't know, cinema chains or what have you, and say, hey, here's a cinema chain? Because I understand it only in as much as we have various podcasts and we use effectively a broker who takes the podcast and distributes it for us. That bit, that's as much as I comprehend. So well, how does it work?
It's a huge machine.
Yeah.
It is a huge machine. But I mean, KOVA got offered the Chosen because Judy, who owns KOVA, has worked in the film industry for a long time, and she has built up a lot of connections. People have worked with her. They love her ethos, her passion, her drive, everything that she stands for. And yeah, she's just built up those relationships through the years. And like everything else, whenever it comes to taking on a film in any kind of capacity, we have to do a pitch for it. Um, and yeah, they really admire Judy and the work that she does and the heart behind it all. I mean, we're not necessarily classed as a Christian company because, as I said, we do mainstream as well. So we kind of sit in between both. But our heart, whether it's working with faith-based films or mainstream films, is just to kind of bring God right into the middle of it and right into the center. So yeah.
I remember hearing something from the guy Lecrae, who's a hip hop singer in the US,
Yeah.
and he talked about how, I mean, this is a few years ago, but he says, "Well, I'm not a Christian hip hop artist. I'm a hip hop artist
Yeah.
who's a Christian, and because of that, I get to go to places that you couldn't go
Yeah.
because I'm a hip hop artist first and foremost. That's what I do. Yes,
Yeah.
I'm a Christian. That's who I am. But because of how he viewed that, he got to speak to people who the rest of us wouldn't, and take God where they are, which is kind of what you're saying. And
Yeah.
I really had immense respect for his heart and approach of how he lived out who he was in what he did. And that sounds very similar to what KOVA do.
Yeah. Well, I think too, a lot of it, certainly from my limited and small experience that I've had so far of being in the industry and working in this world, is the fact that so much of it is about relationship.
Yeah.
It's about relationships. It's about being, a lot of the film industry at times can lack integrity, can lack a lot of transparency, and it's really bringing that to the forefront, that as human beings, those characteristics are so important.
Mm.
Honesty and truth and bringing hope, bringing light, and certainly acting with integrity are really, really important qualities. And that those are some things that we definitely value in KOVA, and want to bring into the industry more and more with everybody that we work with. So, yeah.
I love the fact that you said not illegal stalking, because this is the thing. We get lots of people getting in touch with us. We can get, a 70-page document of the song while we must listen to it. And if you're listening right now, we delete those. There's two reasons why. One, we don't have the time to sort of process that kind of thing. But every so often, we'll get somebody who approaches us in a completely different way.
Yeah.
It's not overwhelming for us. We actually have the opportunity to read it quickly and easily. There's a respect and there's a simple approach to how they say it, or here's what we've got, would it be of interest? Because the moment someone says you need to do this, we don't have the time. We're a tiny little team, and we get so much stuff coming through. It gets deleted, and it's not personal, and it's not nothing to do about you as much as we haven't got the time and the capacity. So the ones where they're much more respectful, in a sense of gentle and simple and short, just saying, those are the ones where we have any opportunity to even consider reading, and occasionally we'll reach out back to them. So I think in a similar way to what you're saying, you weren't being, annoying or irritating, or you weren't kind of badgering them or telling what they must do. It's like, here's what I'm doing, and if there's any kind of interest, they're going to want to have that crossover, which quite evidently that's what you found.
Yeah, I think too, I've probably spent enough years badgering people. So it was like, eventually you learn that has to stop.
Yeah.
But you know what? It's funny because I think with how the job came along for me and how my involvement with KOVA came along for me, I have never been more sure and more convinced of God's plans for my life and God's timing.
Oh, I love
Everything else before that, God's timing, it just clearly wasn't right. I was very unaware of that. But I think whenever it came along, it was just like, God has really known what he's been doing here the whole time. And yeah, hopefully everybody will have those moments on their journey because they're lovely. It's an amazing moment, to see, yeah, I can really see God's hand on this. And I think we very much feel that, within our work and everything. And, even whenever we were talking about just earlier, just about, the process that, very much like yourselves, whenever you're saying you've got a broker, like we've got a cinema booker, and, that's then the kind of process that whenever we get the films, we then go to our booker who then goes to the cinemas, and it's hard. It is so hard because at the end of the day, they want box office, they want money, they want bums on seats, and it's so hard whenever you're going with content that is entirely different, that is not necessarily massive blockbuster hits that are going to bring in millions and millions and millions, like Tom Cruise, like a Tom Cruise film. Just thinking about how successful Top Gun Maverick was, but we're still bringing in content that has hope and there's a real audience for, and people want to see it, so, and I do feel that whenever it has come to breaking down those barriers of taking up and getting space in the cinemas, I do feel, and we all feel that at KOVA, that has very much been where God has opened the doors for us, where God has always been faithful to us. And we know that no matter what the box office says, I know that we can always hold our head high and be proud of the work that we've done, because we then get so much incredible feedback from people that have been to see the films, and people that have engaged with the resources that we've created, and and it's making a difference in people's lives, and ultimately that's what we're here to do.
There's a couple of things I think I just got to interject with. One of which is I really believe in the importance of hard work, but not pushing doors too hard, because God's made us intrinsically beautiful and wonderful in his own image. We are phenomenally creative and creative. We can create stuff. But if we're not careful, we can push down doors that God didn't intend. And this is the second thing. Sometimes we know what God's asking us to do. So we have this urge to do it now, because obviously we're humans and, we have no concept of time in that way. So we help God out, don't we? It's like, well, it's all right, God, I've got this bit. Just do it this way, and then we'll be where you want me to be. We forget that God's timing is 1, better, 2, infinitely better, and 3, he's God, right? So he doesn't need our help. He chooses to have us working with him and living with him and serving with him. And I just think it's interesting how what you're saying, I resonate so much with some of the helping God out is how I would phrase it parts.
Absolutely. Yeah, we do. We patience is not great at times. Journey of waiting and patience is not a fun one, but it's okay.
Yes. Well, it kind of has to be. I mean, eventually you realize with a bit of wisdom that I don't like patience, but I'm going to have to learn it. And if I don't choose to learn it, I'm still going to have to learn it.
Yes.
But I might appreciate it more if I try and be okay with it.
Embrace the journey, embrace it all.
Absolutely. Right. Now, I know you because you get us exclusive interviews with members of the cast and the Chosen and what have you. And we've just recently done some work with Scripture Union Scotland about something they're doing with you and the King of Kings, which is really exciting. But I also know your role is changing within KOVA, which I wanted to talk about. But I just wanted to talk about Big Church because you were at Big Church and so was I. You saw me and I saw you, but we never actually got to talk because my heart was just not happy. What was the reaction like as people walked up to you at the Chosen stand? I mean, were they like, "Oh, this is interesting," and what was the reaction?
Well, the nice thing is I feel like I have a very special perspective whenever it comes to Big Church in particular, because that was my third year for us at Big Church. And it's funny because one of the things that we often find is that it can be very, very hard to measure how successful a film is being, without the stats at the box office, those kind of things aside. But in terms of the real community, grassroots, deep level, it can be really hard to quantify what impact that's making, which is why we then love the festivals, because we get so many people coming to us, sharing their testimonies, telling us what they've seen that year. And, it's such an encouraging season for us whenever we go to the festivals. And Big Church, whenever I first went 3 years ago, and that was the first time going for KOVA, it was funny because we had no merchandise to sell. We only had like a very, very limited number of free t-shirts to give away. And nobody knew what the Chosen was, but everybody loved the freebie. So they were just like, "Can I please have the t-shirt?" So we went from, that was the first year. Then the second year, everybody knew the Chosen. And it was, seeing that difference was absolutely incredible and so powerful, because we then were able to start talking to people about their stories and their journeys, about how the Chosen has spoken into their lives, how they're using it in their churches, how they're using it with their youth groups, how they've seen people come to faith. So that really hit home so much last year whenever we did Big Church. And then this year we did have merchandise last year, but we were quite limited. Whereas this time the merchandise range has really expanded and people were really excited to see it. And it was just great. It's just growing in terms of people's heart for it. People seeing just how good it is and how transformative it is and how God is working through it. And it's just been a blessing to see that grow, for us in particular. So we do love the festivals, and it's where we just get so much feedback and encouragement, especially with the work that we're doing, but also just to see how God is using what we're doing to move in people's lives is so encouraging.
I want to come on to your role change, but I just wanted to go back to connecting with people in terms of Christian content. Now, I mean, I'm more interested in the music side of things because I run a radio station. That makes sense. Yeah. But I don't know if you remember this going back years and years. This is probably 80s or 90s, but somebody took the Coca-Cola tagline and switched it to Christian. So rather than the real thing, it was Jesus is better than the real thing. And I remember at the time thinking, how naff is that? Could we not create? I mean, this is a long time ago. I was much younger, maybe 10 years, 15 years old, thinking, can we not do better than just borrowing somebody else's and changing a word? Can we not create something that is that memorable? And hey, whatever you think of Coke, I don't care. The branding works. They are immensely good at branding. Yeah. But I remember watching this sort of church campaign of, we'll take that, switch it, flick it, and make it ours. Yeah. I remember thinking at the time, can we not do something different?
Yeah,
that's good, because hey, look at what the world we live in. Look at what God made. He made you and me. Can we not do better than just copying somebody else's idea? I'm sure we can do something. And over years, the music in the Christian world changed from cassette tapes that were done in someone's back bedroom that sounded like they weren't even that good, to the quality that we get from Chris Tomlin, Matthew West, Sarah Reeves, and more besides.
Yeah.
And Christian movies, TV production stuff, that's changed as well. for the good.
Yeah.
And it's gone from, oh my goodness, do I have to admit I'm a Christian because this is terrible, to have you seen the quality of this?
Yeah.
I mean, the Chosen stuff, just
Yeah.
the simplest thing from my perspective. In the magazine, we've got a photo of some of the cast members at a launch, and the quality of the photo and the people is so immense. And it makes me so much happier as a Christian today in 2025 to say, look at what we can create. When we do it well, look at what we can create.
Well, I did say to you whenever you sent the magazine over with the interview, so the one sitting behind you was Shahar on the cover there. Like, we were so impressed with the magazine. The magazine is great. It really is fantastic. It is beautiful. It is lovely to look through. And as you say, I mean, the photographs are just stunning. Like, they really, really are. And it is true. And I mean, we very much, we would probably very much feel that, The Chosen has played a huge role in changing just the level of production that faith-based content can be created to.
Yeah.
Like it's I would say probably very similar to yourself whenever you're thinking about the music, thinking about films in the past. Is like there's so many where you would go, oh, it's so cheesy and I just can't do it. You're just like, I don't want to watch this. I don't want to even recommend it to anybody. But
yeah,
but it has, like, The Chosen and Jesus Revolution, and even the likes of Sound of Freedom. What I mean, they're big films that are dealing with really, really big issues. But yet the heart, the cinematography, the production level is absolutely world class. Like, it really is. And it's funny because, I mean, especially within the film industry, and Hollywood has really taken notice massively. You've got the likes of Variety and Hollywood Reporter and all commenting on how faith-based films are really taking the cinema and taking the film industry by storm. And there was an article in The Guardian about Jesus being box office gold at Easter whenever The Chosen Last Supper was released in the cinema, and it's funny because it also speaks so much into our world today where people are looking for hope.
Yeah.
Like, they really are. And I think a lot more people, especially whenever we talk about, the quiet revival and stuff that's happening, God is really on the move. And you can see that in people's response whenever there's a real hunger for something to hold on to and some sort of hope. And I think it's one of the lines in Jesus Revolution, which is fantastic film about the Jesus movement back in the 70s and in America. And one of the things that Jonathan Rumy's character, Lonnie Frisbee, who talks with Chuck, who is the pastor of the church, he's played by Kelsey Grammer. He says that everybody in the world doesn't realize that, I'll paraphrase here, everybody in the world doesn't realize that they're looking for Jesus, but they're just looking for him in all the wrong places. And it's true, whether that's whatever you're resorting to, whether it's relying on people, whether it's, looking for, being totally defined by your job, being totally defined by your family, it's everybody is searching at all times. And I just thought that line in that film in particular was just so powerful. It's like everybody is searching for something to hold on to, something to feel belonging in. And they just don't know a lot of the time that it's God that they're looking for.
I love that. I love that line. Yeah, I think absolutely is true. Let's come back to what you're doing then with KOVA. So I know you're talking about going to the grassroots stuff, but what is it you're actually going to be doing in the future with KOVA?
Yeah, so one of my biggest roles at the minute is looking after press and facilitating the interviews with cast and crew, which I know we've done a couple of times before. But and then we obviously do all the events, the premieres, the galas and everything. So we all just kind of chip in for those things. But one of the things that we'll be doing very soon, like especially for The Chosen, is I'm going to be focusing more on The Chosen and connecting with churches, getting more on the ground to kind of see what kind of an impact The Chosen is having, and to see what kind of an impact all of our films are having. But very soon, one of the things that we're doing this, we're actually going to be taking The Chosen on tour, and we are hoping to partner with Bible shops all over the country to then go spend a day in the Bible shop and have people come and share their testimonies, and we're going to record them. So there's a number of things that we have that we're working on with those kind of things to develop. And it's just to get a feel for not only how is The Chosen impact in everybody's lives, but how is the work that we're doing overall impact in people's lives. Because yes, we come under KOVA International, but we have a solely kind of faith branch, which we call CAVE. Which is the Christian Association for Visual Entertainment. And you can follow us on Instagram, but anybody that wants to know anything about faith-based films, follow us on KOVA, but follow us on CAVE as well. And one of the things that we're doing as well is we're very keen to build up the resources of the films that we have, because ultimately, films can be a great evangelistic tool. And anybody who's a film fan, much like myself, I'm very visual. And I do like reading, but I'm just not very good at reading. I just like to sit and watch a film. I really do. I just like movies, okay? But in watching films, I just think, the film industry is such a powerful tool. It's a huge medium where, people have so much access. And it can be used so much to share the gospel, and we're very much about making sure that churches are equipped and feel confident in using our content to use as an evangelistic tool. So yeah.
So you'll be, that's a couple of things going on. So you're talking about Christian bookshops around the UK. That's one branch, and you're talking about churches as well. So is that like just turning up a church with, I don't know, a chosen stand, or how can churches engage with that?
I mean, we want churches to become chosen churches, where they maybe like have a pop up and they do a program with The Chosen. We want people to engage and connect with us. And I mean, if you say, here's Jesus Revolution or Bonhoeffer recently, Bonhoeffer that we had out, if somebody contacts us to say, we would love to use Bonhoeffer in our church, but we maybe don't know how to do a discussion about it afterwards, we can help support churches and being able to do that, and being able to use any of our films for discussion, for prayer guides, for Bible study guides, and those kind of things. So.
I love that way of supporting back to the churches, because I mean the film's great, Chosen, whatever it is, it's something like you say, it's visual. We can sit there, we can just sit and absorb it and think, okay, I'm enjoy this. And yes, I'm with you. We like movies too, but at the same time, it's good to provide those resources for people, even to, are we allowed to do this? How does that work? Because there are things like copyright you do need to consider, and we should be as Christians. It's only right and appropriate. We have multiple licenses for the radio. It matters. It's important. However, even that can be a bit scary, and that's where you guys can come along and say, okay, let's help you with this. Let's provide you with what you can use.
Yeah, and that's the thing too. And whenever you're speaking to someone, say for argument's sake, from a church, like whenever we speak to some of our chosen champions, we will have quarterly meetings on Zoom and stuff with them. And whenever we're chatting, if you're the only person in a church, say it's a small church, you have a passion for The Chosen, you want to do something with it, but it's really hard to get started. And the minute you say licensing, it just puts fear in people. They're just like, no, I can't go near that. That's just too much. A lot of the processes for the likes of licensing are very straightforward. You just need to know how to do it.
Yeah.
And you just need to be guided with how to do it. So the licensing for, especially with the likes of The Chosen, it just goes through Come and See, who are the mission body of The Chosen. And it's filling out a form that'll take you, maybe 2 minutes to do, and sending it off, and then you get confirmation, and that's it. So licensing, do not be put off by licensing. Come and speak to us and we can help and support. But yeah, a lot of it is really daunting. But you also, I totally agree, you want everybody to be doing it right, so that we do it right and we do it well.
Yeah. And doing it well is important. Doing it sustainably, which is one of my things. Everybody who knows me locally will think, yes, doing it sustainably, it's an Andy B thing, because I don't want to start something that I can't do in 6 or 12 months. Not because we're going to do this in 2 years' time, because I don't know the future, but also I want to be able to do this in a year's time with the same kind of level of quality. Otherwise, let's not do this until we've got something to do it with. There is a time to jump out, run, and get going. But, a lot of the time we don't have to rush. God is not in a rush. No. And we don't need to rush. I think I felt God's haste occasionally, which is very different, but we're not talking about that. If a church or bookshop's listening and think, oh, well, this sounds interesting, we didn't know we could actually engage in this way, which is the whole point of stuff like this. How do they actually get hold of you to say, what can we do?
Yeah, so my email address is emma@KOVA, KOVA.international. So drop me an email and we can connect you with the right person on our team, and we can help support and get things moving. So
it's good though. But I mean, I enjoyed the chat we had with Jenny from Scripture Union Scotland about stuff they're doing with you and the King of Kings. That's interesting, and it's similar, but that was with schools. But these resources are good, and it's good to use them. But sometimes we just need a bit of help thinking, well, how do we use this? What do we do with this? There's some guys in the States, skit guys, and they create great drama things, and churches can buy them, and there's resources that go with it because, well, it's a great visual, it's a great video, but then what? And then they provide you with the then what part, which is what I guess you're doing here with KOVA, particularly with The Chosen. So the new role, have you started this, or is this soon to happen, or is it kind of going to be a blended change?
It'll probably be a bit of a blended change, but yes, it's soon to happen. At the minute, we're kind of like neck deep in Sketch, which is a film we have coming out on the 24th of October. But yeah.
There's always more to do, though, isn't there?
Always more. It never stops.
Emma, thank you. KOVA International. Emma at KOVA.international if you want to contact her because you'd like to use The Chosen in your church or setting, then get a hold of Emma. She's great. So thank you for your time today. I appreciate your comments about the magazine. That's always nice to hear. But it makes it easier when we get high quality images. And I think that's my takeaway from what I'm seeing with some of the stuff that particularly KOVA are doing is, there's some really good quality Christian content that doesn't make you turn away and thinking this is awful. Actually, it makes you go, wow, this is really good. And it draws you in a good way because you know what? God made the world. He made us creative, and he made us creatively, beautifully for things like The Chosen and all the other stuff that you're doing. So yes, Emma, thank you for your time.
Thank you so much. Cheers, Andy.
Rated 5 stars by Sorted Magazine's film critic, Pure 247 takes you behind the scenes of the birth of a global Christian radio station. Andy B will have you laughing and crying as you discover what it takes to create ministry that matters in this inspiring tale of perseverance, honesty, and vulnerability. Buckle up and get ready for a story that's uplifting as it is entertaining. Behind the microphone, they face bankruptcy, eviction, and 2 life-changing surgeries. Can they make it? Will they make it? Get your copy of this life-changing book today. Pure 247 is available now on Amazon. Andy B is best described as a man after God's own heart, who insists that God's vision and resourcing trump all handicaps.